So we're going to be doing the wheel. I'm just going to show you what we're going to be using to get this wheel from this horrible silver rusty colour to a nice shiny gloss black. So first thing is to strip it back. So we're going to be using some wire brushes in the end of the drill, and the standard drill that I've used for the rest of the build. I bought a selection of tools off Amazon, so these different wire brushes come in all different shapes and sizes. I'm going to be using the big one to start with to make sure that I can get to the bigger surface areas, and then when I want to get into the little nooks and crannies, I'm going to use some smaller pieces, or even down to something sort of this sort of size. So once we've stripped it back, I'm going to be using some grey primer, which is going to be, so we'll do 3 coats of this on there. I think we'll leave it a couple of minutes between each coat to dry. Once that's fully dried, we'll be using some gloss black. It says no primer required, but to get the best finish possible, I'm going to be using primer. And to make sure that we don't get any paint all over the tyre, I'm going to be using some record cards, and I'll be masking taping those in place to make sure that it doesn't go everywhere. Most importantly, eye protection and dust protection. So little pieces of wire can fly off the drill, off the end of the drill, the wire brush that we're using, because we're rubbing it at such a hard surface, and any dust that's going to come off, any microparticles off of the paint as well, we'll be making sure that we're fully protected for that. Cool, let's get going. So I reckon after probably about half an hour of working with the wire wheel on, I've got all the rust off, all the previous silver metallic paint that was on there off. I'm only going to do the fronts, I'm not going to do the backs. So yeah, about half an hour to do that, and then it's going to be a couple of coats of primer and then a couple of coats of black gloss paint. But it's come out really nicely, so as you can see, pretty much all of the rust is off, taking it right back to the steel. So what I'm going to do now is like rubbing alcohol, so that will take any last little bits off, and then I'm going to put the cards in and mask up the edges. So using this rubbing alcohol is going to get off all the last little bits of any bits of metal or any dirt and grime that's on there, so it's going to give the best opportunity for the primer to stick to it. So it's looking pretty good. I think we're good to go. Next thing to do is to put some Tyre Shine, like the blackener that goes on the tyres. I've got some autoglym stuff in the house, I'm just going to grab that. And what that'll do is if you cover the tyre with that, and when we put the cards in, any overspray will just go onto that, and then that will wipe off rather than stick into the rubber. So I'm going to go get that now and stick that on. So when you're putting the tyre dressing on, don't spray it directly onto the tyre, because it could spray back onto the wheel, and then you're going to have like residue on there, so you don't want that. So just make sure you spray it on the cloth away from the wheel and then rub it on. That's the first coat of primer on. That's better. So that's the first coat of primer on. I'm going to leave it to dry for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to put another coat on, but I'll show you what it looks like. So it looks pretty nice actually, like a nice even coat. The reason that we're not putting too much on in one go is so it doesn't drip. The last thing you want is it doing all that prep work and then it will just dripping for ages. So dripping for ages, I'm just dripping in at all. So I'm going to do 3 coats of primer, and once I've done that, then I'll put the shiny gloss black on. It actually looks quite nice in primer, but yeah, gloss black it is. So it's 20 minutes later, and I think it's time for second coat. So we've got them really smooth, so just by giving it a nice even coat, waiting 20 minutes between each coat, it's come out super nice all the way around. So I think now it's ready to, I'm going to put the first coat of gloss black on. I'm going to do 2 coats of that, see how it looks, see if it needs a third, and then give it a third coat if it needs one. So for this stuff it needs about 15 minutes in between each coat, so I'm going to go in the house for 15 minutes. It seems to be a lot thicker, this stuff, so got to really be careful without it to make sure that it doesn't drip. But I think it's looking pretty good for the first coat. I think it's probably going to need 3 coats. And we are back for what I hope will be the final coat. I don't know. Oh, has it dripped? Oh no, I don't think it has dripped. Sweet, let me just show you. So, I think it's looking alright. It's obviously harder to see on the camera because it's dark, but if I crank it up a bit, it's looking mighty fine, and any sort of like rough bits or bubbles have sort of gone in the paint. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to give it another coat as the second coat, then once that's done we can see if we need a third coat. Let's go. So, second coat done. There's still some bits that I want to make sure are covered, so I think it's going to be the case of a third coat. There's a little bit that's really hard to get, which I don't know if anyone's had the same problem, but if I zoom in, there's almost like this little gully which is sitting just in there. Like, this is the Mercedes Sprinter and VW Crafter wheels. So that looks, I mean, it's quite hard to get. I think in other places I've managed to get it, so a bit more paint on that bit, so it's definitely going to need a third coat, but it's coming out really nicely. So I think, yeah, one more coat and then we'll call it on that one. This is a spare wheel that I've taken off the back of the van, so it's going to look so much better on the back. Honestly, it's like, it just looked minging before, so wicked. Right, so we've got one more layer to do, or one more coat to do, and I've had a few drinks now, and it's definitely been more than 20 minutes since the last coat. So let's gear up and give it one more layer, and hopefully, I don't think there's any laws around drinking and respraying your wheels, but we'll see. So I think that'll do for tonight. The layers, it's looking pretty good actually. There's no drips yet, and most of it's covered. Might need another coat in the morning, just some bits around here I can see where it hasn't got it, but also if it doesn't cover those some tiny bits, I don't think it matters massively, because we ain't going to see it. They're going to be on the floor rolling around while we're driving to where we're going. So then guys, that's it for tonight. The last coat for today is on the wheel, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking nice and even. There's no like rust marks or where the rust was, or bump marks coming through, which is looking good. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. Check it in the morning, do another coat in the morning if I need to once it's dried, and then leave it another 24 hours before it goes back on the van so it's fully dry. But yeah, it's looking sweet. I need to do the wheel nuts as well. I'm super happy with how it's come out. Like you watch these videos and I'm like, there's no way that I could make it look like that from this crappy rust bucket wheel that needs to go in a skip to something that looks really decent, and it's saving us 1200 quid, so perfect. See you in the morning. So it's come out really nice. I've taken the cards out. You can see where there's like a little bit of primer on show, so for the other ones, just to make sure I get in the rest of those bits, but it literally looks awesome. I'll just put it back on the back of the van and I'll show you what it looks like. But yeah, it's come out absolutely amazing. Like a super smooth finish as well, I can't believe it. Yeah, super stoked with it. Saved us a load of money. Yeah, and I definitely recommend doing it. I can honestly say I think it looks absolutely wicked. But yeah, I'll give you a close-up shot of it. That's it then, guys. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you, to show you that with 60 quid you can make new out of your current rusty steel wheels, save yourself a fortune. Even if you don't change the tyres, we're going to be putting some even if you don't change the tyres, you know, with the standard tyres, and once they've got some like tyre freshener on and stuff, they look wicked. We're going to be putting some BF Goodrich KO2 wheels on, tyres on these wheels. So what I'm going to do now is probably get the other tyres put on, and on the spare as well, all 5 of them done, and then I'll spray the other ones, so there's no chance of them getting damaged or anything when they take them off. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.